them focus on taking care of it so that they always have access to it so they can learn from it is really the messaging that we continue to push out.
Yeah, thank you.
So as we, think ahead, right, and, employees body to think about the way the technology is changing, there are things that can't be done with a cloud-based device like a Chromebook, but those things are shrinking by the minute. And so I'll just say this as Director of Technology, I've been on a Chromebook as my primary device for almost 5 years now. And I think it's really important that we think about, where we're headed. This isn't a promotion for Chrome, but for cloud-based devices as a whole, because as we see, here, it's a significant cost difference, especially when damage happens to the device. And I will stand by this. There, the challenge often for school districts is that we may choose curricular solutions that require local installations. I don't want to get too in the weeds on this, but you don't want the kind of the tail wagging the dog. But I think the device's access online is a key piece that needs to be added to the decision-making process around curriculum that we deliver. If it's not something that can be easily accessed from every device from a Chromebook to this, it's something we need to think twice about. If it can only be done locally and it's going to force us into $1,300 machines, we need to think twice about that.
Thank you. So I do vaguely remember when we first started, this is pre-COVID, when we first started talking about the one-on-one devices, we did look into leasing, because leasing would make sense. And I vaguely remember that we would lease, and then we just keep replenishing a certain amount. So we always had, I want to say, like a fresh, like a brand new group of laptops. So I'd be curious to see why we took the other route and didn't do the leasing route. It's been a few years, but definitely that would make more sense rather than having them just be outdated. I just know from, your laptops and things are just getting so outdated so fast. But I would definitely like to maybe look back into that and see why we took this route, or we should have some information, some data on it.
So my understanding. That is on? Okay.
Yeah,
my understanding from when I first got here and asked that question, and I was provided with the data that y'all had looked at, is that it was more cost effective at that time. We can certainly look into it again, but my understanding is that that's why you guys made that decision you did.
Thank you.
What is the will of the committee for policy JQ?
Motion to accept and approve policy JQ as updated. Second.
Motion was made by Mr. Gomes, properly seconded by Mr. Vega. Show of hands. It's unanimous. Carries. Next item 4 is discussion of IKFE, competency determination for 2026.
Last year, we brought to you the 2025 competency determination. That was after the vote that eliminated MCAS as a graduation requirement, and we had to identify how we would determine as a district what competency meant. DESE has since put out guidelines for what is expected of districts and what will have to be uploaded into GEMS, the tool that DESE uses to demonstrate how we are identifying competency determination for the graduating class of 2026, the graduating class of 2027 and beyond. And from this policy, as you can see, it reads pretty similarly to what we had in 2025, because I think we did more than many other districts did in 2025. One of the changes that you'll see is that the history requirement will start in 2027. And so that is a difference for the 2026 policy and moving beyond 2026, that students are expected to complete 2 full year courses in ELA, 2 full courses in math, a lab science, and the U.S. history. Those are the same requirements that we had for 2025. It's simply that 2027 will be the U.S. history, the year that U.S. history is required. So we were one step ahead of the game. Other things that you'll see there is that we needed to put a very specific appeals process. We had an appeals process. I have to tell you that we had probably 200 former students from the Brockton Public Schools, all of our high schools, who reached out. They had certificate of attainment designations, and they reached out to ask for reconsideration for diplomas for the 2025 school year. That process was handled within the schools, with them doing transcript reviews with counselors and with administrators, and for many of those students who made that request, they were awarded a diploma, and that information has been submitted to the state. What we have done here is made it a little more specific, because at this point we now will have students, as we move through this process, students who will need to be informed at the end of a 10th grade, the beginning of 11th grade, they should know whether or not they met competency determination. And so this will give the schools an opportunity to inform, and students and families an opportunity to appeal even while they're still in high school. For our current seniors and our seniors for the class of 2027, they also have the appeal opportunity if they are informed that they have not met competency determination. For anyone who comes back at this point, the process of review, again, they will have to submit in writing that they are asking for a transcript review. There will be a window of about 50 days that we will give schools a chance to put their appeals teams together, review the transcripts, and in writing give notice. What's important to note is that once the decision is made by that committee, that decision is final. And so if they're still in school during that process, they have an opportunity to meet competency before they graduate. If they have completed high school and it is determined that they did not meet competency determination, again, that is a final decision, and that certificate of attainment is the end of that process for them. We also had to put clear language for students with disabilities and our English learners, so that it is understood that if you're on a pathway that is not a graduation pathway, not taking the courses as they are outlined, but in a program that is on the path of a certificate of attainment, this is not a process that you can then turn that in for an appeal. And if you're not taking the classes as outlined, you would not be on a pathway for a diploma, but for a certificate instead. And so that language had to be clearly identified. And identifying for our English learners courses that are literature courses that could replace the ELA class that is the traditional class for general education. And so all of those things are outlined in this policy, a little more detailed than the one you agreed to last year for the class of 2025, but the number of courses stayed the same.
Questions? Mr. Vega?
I just want to say, I just don't want the mention you made earlier, being ahead of the curve. You know, there are things that you all plan for in advance that are paying off for us now, and I appreciate that. My question is, what are we currently doing, and what do you see us doing going ahead for our, you know, our English as a second language learners who know what a quotient is, but may not know what a quotient is in English? I may be a very competent math student who comes from Cape Verde or Haiti or any of the other countries that we bring in here in Brockton, but may be having challenges with continuing my math education because there are terms that are in English that are different than the language that I speak. What are the things that Brockton currently does, and what are the things that you see us doing going ahead to support those students?
So our students who are in our bilingual programming, math is math regardless, but they're oftentimes taking it in with a bilingual teacher, and so they are getting the opportunity to move forward with the math because it is the math, but they also have the support of someone who speaks the language who can help them understand the terminology in English when they're using those resources versus the terminology that they know. And so that is already in place across the district. And you'll see later this evening that in math, our MCAS results, though MCAS is no longer a graduation determinant, our MCAS results did not decline in math. And so that piece of it, I worry less about because there are excellent teachers who are doing that work with students every day. There are resources and supports across this district to support students so that they have access to their curriculum and access to learning English. So that I don't see that as being in any way preventing someone from reaching competency determination or even graduation.
Is there any correlation between the idea that because they receive those services in their math and science classes that is somehow slowing them down from learning English?
No, I wouldn't say so.
I wouldn't say it either. Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Gomes.
That's a really good question, and I have to say I agree with you. As far as when I moved here, I was also taking, English as a second language learner classes, and my math class, which I enjoyed, was taught by a bilingual professor. And what I appreciate about them is that they would either, whenever we're not understanding something, if it's being explained in English, they would transition to using Cape Verdean Creole or Portuguese, which is the language that I do understand. And then they would highlight the terms that they use in our language in English as well. So it keeps getting hammered in there. I took math for one semester. Is it a semester? I'm thinking college terms. for a term in my, with the bilingual professor, and after that I went straight into mainstream and then honor. But I took those terms with me because they kept getting hammered into, if in Portuguese you say it this way, next time they mentioned the same thing, they were saying it in English or whatever, French or whatever language it was. So I do appreciate that. I don't think it, hinders us from furthering our English vocabulary and whatnot, but it's a great addition, and I'm grateful for the bilingual folks that we have within our system.
And it prevents you from being held up because you don't have to wait to speak English or know everything in English in order to do your math and your science and your history.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, you did touch base on both IKFE and IKF as well. Will of the body?
Motion to approve policy IKFE, graduation requirements for 2026. And then, okay, we'll do them individually, correct? Okay, correct.
Second.
Motion was made by Mrs. Azak, properly seconded by Mrs. Oliver. Show of hands. Carries.
And second policy is policy IKF, competency, determination policy.
It's a graduation policy.
requirement.
Second.
IKF.
IKF says competency determination policy. The first one was the graduation requirement, IKFE.
Okay.
No,
Do you want me to?
It was
number
reversed.
4 is IKFE.
That was a mistake on
Comps-
your agenda. It
Yeah, it
should
was
be,
reversed.
Oh, it's reversed.
IKF is graduation,
Okay,
and IKFE is the competency determination.
Okay,
so if you could read that again
so
to record.
the second is policy change for IKF.
IKF is
Graduation.
graduation.
Is the graduation requirement for 2026.
Second.
And then I can retract the first motion and correct
No, you
it.
read the first one correct.
No, that was IKFE.
Yeah,
That
you
was the
read
competency determination policy.
You read
We
that
just-
one correct in the beginning.
No, I thought I did graduation determination, but,
She
okay.
read graduation.
I read it right off the
Okay.
paper. Okay.
Alrighty.
Voting?
Motion was made by Ms. Azak, properly second by Mr. Gomes. Show of hands. And this is on IKF.
Yes.
Unanimous. And you can go back to the second one if you want.
Okay, so then the policy change for IKFE, which is the competency determination policy. Second.
Motion was made by Mrs. Azak, properly second by Ms. Alves. Show of hands. Unanimous. And thank you, Mrs. Walder. The other one is just a, we're not going to take this up. It was just a discussion on policy BDB, which is actually the policy regarding the roles of the chair and the vice chair. I know the investigation stated that, recommended that the mayor be removed from being the chairman of the Brockton School Committee. But I think the school committee needs to take the first step in making this initiative. It is hearing two different sides from this, and I think we need to have a deeper conversation with both our legal counsel and the city side counsel, and also the city solicitor's office. I know you guys had a copy. I'm not sure if everybody had a time to review it. It was just striking the first two sentences and adding a number 8 where the vote is only in the matter of a tie. I know we have Robert's rules out there. Some indicate that some boards do have chairs. They just chair the meeting. They do not have any voting privileges, just by chairing those meetings. But we'll table this to the following meeting. If anybody has any comments relative to this, floor is yours. If not, then I could have a motion. I can't motion. And no comment on that item? Not seeing none. Any other business before this body relative to policy? Anybody need any policies changed? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion was made to adjourn by Mr. Gomes, properly seconded by Mr. Vega. Show of hands. Meeting is adjourned. 2 minutes. 2 minutes, and we can jump right into finance. Good evening and welcome to the Brockton School Committee Accounts / Finance Review Subcommittee meeting. Today is November 18, 2025. Time is 6:10. Located at the Arnone School Little Theater. I'll call this meeting to order by establishing a quorum. Mr. Gomes? Here. Mr. Vega? Here. Ms. Azak? Here. Ms. Oliver?
Here.
And Dr. Tiliano as the clerk is present. Myself, Tony Rodriguez, as the vice chair is present. Superintendent, the floor is yours. Oh, your mic. Actually, that's okay. Floor is all yours. Beth.
Is it on?
Yes.
Because I have a super soft voice, so, okay.
Just for record, can you just state your name
I
and title so the
can.
public can know exactly who's speaking?
Yes, Dr. Beth Regalbuto. I am the Assistant Superintendent for Finance and CFO here for Brockton Public Schools. So, thank you for having me tonight, and I'm just going to start by saying in this meeting, I'm happy. This is all about feedback for me, seeing this is my first one like this. So I really want to have this be more interactive and get a sense from you what you expect during these types of meetings and the way you'd like information presented. So I took a stab at an agenda and a way of presenting things, but I'm happy to take a different approach if that works better for members of the committee. So I wanted to provide first an update on the status of the FY25 year-end close. On the school side, Munis is closed on the school side. The city, however, is still working to close, and we are working on the reconciliation of benefits on Schedule 19. So we're still doing some work on that, which is all of the benefits that we have to work through, and we expect to, I think we even have a meeting on Friday to work together on that. So our school end of year report has not yet been filed. That is due on September 30th for every school district in the Commonwealth, but we did file the request for a formal extension due to the fact that we're still working through our reconciliation with the city. So that's where we are on FY25 right now. I don't know if there's any questions on that.
Questions by any members? Ms. Oliver?
What was the extension again? To what date did you request it for?
You know, I didn't because
Oh, was the city that requested it?
No, I had to.
Okay.
I had to write formally to DESE to request an extension date. So he actually asked me that back. So I will have a better idea when we have our meeting on Friday with where we are in the reconciliation with the city, how much time I'll need. I only anticipate a couple weeks.
So on our end, we are done.
We're
We are
done.
all ready to go.
We're ready to go.
File, submit what we need to submit. We're just waiting on the city
We
side.
need that reconciliation.
Do you know what we're waiting on exactly? I think you might
Just the
say, but
benefits,
just a-
Schedule 19. We're working on Schedule 19, which is really your healthcare and non-teacher retiree pension costs.
And then you'll give us an update of exactly what they are going to transmit to the state,
Correct.
like all the funds, how much everything cost?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Comments? Okay, cool. Thank you for that. Oh, sorry, Mr. Vega.
Quick clarifying question for folks at home. So you mentioned that our Munis books is just closed. Is that
It's our financial system.
right?
So
So Munis is closed.
Yes.
And is that is it odd, that it closes this late? We're well into the new fiscal year.
Is it, no, because we're closed. So a school district typically closes, I believe, around that, usually work all the way through the summer to like the end of August. And then you're working on your reconciliations. It's very common to have a period 13 where you'll be making some adjusting entries and reconciliations. We talked about that a little bit when we had bills coming in. Like that's a natural course of business. So they typically stay open, and then and often, especially in districts this size, you're going to need a little bit more time. So it's almost, a lot of people beg for forgiveness and ask the state for a little bit more time to make sure that we have the best information possible in on our year-end reports.
Thank you for clarifying that. Yep.
Mr. Gomes?
Thank you. I would like to go back to the reconciliation of Schedule 19. Is there a better approach, a better process that we could start looking at that would make the reconciliation a little bit more in tune with us closing Munis?
I don't want to speak because it's, this is more on the city side, and this is, my first go-around here. So I think I'm going to learn as we go along on Friday of what we're specifically looking at and what maybe the challenges are. So until I know that, I don't really feel comfortable speaking on, specifics about how to improve it. But of course, we're always looking, right? Once we figure it out, we're like, oh, how can we do this better next time around?
Okay, thank you.
Say, Zach?
Thank you. Thank you so much. So this is prior to your arrival at Brockton Public Schools. So I just want to see, what have we put into place? We were running into a lot of vendors not submitting their invoices on time, going into another fiscal year. So what have we, I know Munis is closed, have we reached out to vendors to just make sure we're not receiving something a year later? I'd like to see what have we put into place, if you know offhand. If not, like I said, this was something that we ran
Yeah.
into, a few issues prior to your arrival, and this is the first time I've had a chance to actually ask you, so.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that in more detail going forward. I will say we have been working very hard at dealing with open POs, actually just putting some more concrete processes and procedures in place so that we are making sure that we are actually doing a requisition and a purchase order prior to paying an invoice, right? We don't want to be getting the invoice and doing it backwards. So we've been working very hard at that. We really, down the road, would like to streamline and automate that whole process. So we've been working on workflows, and we'll talk a little bit about when you see the finances, encumbering bills ahead of time, following up with vendors to make sure that we only have 12 bills in a 1-year cycle. So we're actually going back and making those calls ahead of time. So we're trying to be very proactive about ensuring that our process is as efficient and effective as possible. So we're working on it for sure.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, we can move on to the next agenda item, FY26 budget report.
Okay. Yes, great. So FY26, so in your packet, you have a very small, I apologize, font report. And I did get that feedback that we should make it larger, and we will going forward. These are all good points. Really the only difference here, since I presented the last time to the full school committee, is I wanted to just show that we are looking at the data. One of the things that we talked about was attempting to provide more information, more detailed information. So we had moved to looking at it more in a DESI function code manner, so there's more detail to look at. So the first report has to do with our transportation, and the second one right behind that is all of our expenditures, net school spending and non-net school, giving us a status as to roughly where we are at this point in time. So again, it's tiny. This is a work in progress, so I just want you to see it. We're not to the point yet where it's exactly where we'd like it to be. However, it does allow us to start looking at our budget progress. Some things I want you to notice. Going forward, we want to provide more of an analysis. So saying, here's where we are, here's where, here's where we are in the year, for instance, and here's where the budget progress is. However, right now, I think this is starting to provide a different level of detail than we have seen in the past. So next time, I'm hoping that we are going to have more of a narrative to follow this. We were looking at some information. This is really showing us that we need to do what we talked about a little bit earlier, and that's under the initiatives, which is to continue to improve and detail out our chart of accounts. That is a big project that we're hoping to do starting at the end of November through the January, February, before we get to the budget cycle, so that we can, again, break them all out in DESI function. We can do it by org object. We can sort by school. We can take a look at the data in a different way, and it will provide us more detailed information to project where we're going and and I think provide more transparency to the public of where we are. You'll also notice that you have seen a lot more encumbrances. So we're trying to get ahead of the fact we're things that we know we are obligated to pay for the entire year, we've encumbered in the system. So we won't be, this way we make sure that we know that we have the funding available ahead of time. So those are some of the things that we're working towards, which is taking, you know, is a lot of work, and the team is doing a great job, but I think it gives us a truer picture of where we're at.
Thank you. Any follow-up? Mr.
Sure.
Vega?
And so this is, you know, so the question I'm about to ask, you know, I had the opportunity to talk to the superintendent, talk to TJ Plant. We haven't had a chance to connect just yet on this, but I think it's important for folks to know. Like, so when we look at the transportation piece, right? So we're currently, in terms of our percent available, we have about 45, just over 45% of the budget available 3 months into the school year, right? So what are the safeguards that we have in place to mitigate what could potentially be perceived as a transportation deficit?
Right. So that's exactly what we're talking about. We're
Yeah.
talking about doing what we can to analyze the budget in more detail in specific categories, to ensure, you know, we'll have to be looking and be honest about, are we under budgeted? Are we planning to offset some of these with grant funds? You know, could be a variety of reasons why they are, or did we encumber things ahead of time and we already know where we're going to be in certain spots? So, but I think by being more detailed and doing the analysis that we plan to do on a monthly basis and providing you with you know, basically a heads up of where we are and where we have concerns with the budget progression based on a variety of factors, is, I think, more beneficial to all of us and in our planning in the future, right? We can make different decisions, or we can look to increase efficiencies wherever we can if we see that we have certain issues arising.
And with that, like, so things like circuit breaker are not included.
Correct.
In these figures, right?
Correct.
And for folks at home, when I say circuit breaker is not included, like what is circuit breaker for folks at home, and what kind of funds can we expect to see from them?
Oh boy.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But,
so,
yeah.
so circuit breaker is a revolving account based on a percentage of expenditures that we can be reimbursed above a flat amount on special education costs. So that can be used to offset special education, transportation, or other costs in the district. So we have, I don't have in front of me the analysis, but I think it's a good question, and one that we could be talking about on maybe like a quarterly basis. Where do we stand? How much do we think we have in circuit breaker? What does it look like we may or may not use? So we actually do, knock on wood, it seems that we have, at this point, a healthy circuit breaker account right now, but we want to watch that as we're moving through this school year for sure.
And I just bring this up again for the body, you know, as we look ahead into next year, thinking about how do we incorporate those additional state supports into the reports that we share out as we, you know, move towards transparency with Brockton as a city. Thank you.
You're welcome. And again, it still wouldn't be part of the general fund. It'll be an offset that we use too. So I like to explain that to people too. So they're saying, where is that one and where are you hiding that, right?
If I may.
You please.
So as a reminder to the public too, for last year, I had presented at City Council what we projected our transportation budget to be at that time, and we did have a shortfall of about $5 million that I let them know about. Then later on that year, or last year, I came to this body and requested that we use circuit breaker in order to make up those funds, which is why we were able to not go back to City Council and have to ask for those funds. So that was our effort to kind of bridge that gap. We're not saying that that is what we are counting on doing every year moving forward, but just as a reminder for how we made up for that last year, that is how we were able to do so.
What I appreciate about that approach is, you know, we haven't had data up until now. We haven't had folks who were doing the kinds of work that we're seeing our team do now. So what's exciting is if circuit breaker can buy us a little time to see what our real costs are, so we can make educated, budget projections. That's exciting. So I'm so excited that you're part of the team. I'm so excited that, we have folks who are really drilling down on these numbers. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Oliver?
Just looking at the draft for FY '27,
Yes.
I do like this. It kind of gives you an idea that you're starting early, especially in November and December. And just to get an idea what we're going to be asking for and demanding funds, especially what's going on in the country right now, nationally, with the funds being taken away from public schools. And I like the fact that we're basically being proactive and really looking how we need to, budget, get everything in order before we kind of figure it out and say, this is the amount of money we need, and then suddenly the state said we don't have any funds. So I think I do like the approach of kind of having a calendar to just go monthly and get it ready and see what happens next year. But I do like the calendar, just that it was starting early and getting everything in case it falls out of the sky. So at this moment.
I appreciate that. I also have this in here as a draft idea because I want to get feedback from the committee as to whether or not there are other, roundtables, or do you want to include different groups? Do you want to have Q&As at certain points? And we could add that into this calendar as it gets a little more detailed and as state
That'd
information.
be a great idea.
If you want to have different groups, and maybe what groups you would suggest that we would meet with, or how we would go about that. So I just want to have that as a thought, to provoke your thoughts on that.
Thank you.
We could add that to our retreat/training, one of the items to discuss. Any other questions, comments from any other members? I'm just looking at some items here on transportation where it's already at 0% available, homeless, incoming and going. How is that going to be supplemented for the remainder of the year? If I'm reading that correctly, it's saying that we already.
I'm just looking to see whether or not it was encumbered or if it's just already. So another part of this, too, to be perfectly honest, is the chart of accounts is an exciting adventure right now, and it has a lot of moving parts. So one of the things that we're going to do during this project during the winter is to kind of create a crosswalk. So I'm not sure 1,000% on the accuracy of where certain things are placed. So I want to do a little more homework, meaning there could be a couple different places that homeless transportation, a couple different accounts that have that. So we haven't yet had the time to either combine them all or create that crosswalk to give us, 100% assurance. So some of these might be off slightly, not in total, but we want to do some more work to make it easier to read and make sure that that's exactly it. Some of them might have another offset somewhere else that's not visible right here.
Okay, that was one of the things that jumped out.
Yeah, I will look at that though, for sure.
At 0%, and then we have another line item here that's only 2%. And
I was doing exactly what you're doing right now, right before I came here.
Yeah.
So in the next report, when we do it for, the next month's one, I will do more of a narrative and kind of explain to you where I see those, dig into those a little bit more.
Okay, now with this report, is this, I haven't logged in as of yet, is this on our dashboard?
So that's, you kind of dovetailed right into the next one, which is
sorry,
some
I
of the initiatives.
apologize.
No.
We'll hold off.
No, you're good. Because it really answers this. So this is really what I envision, again, much larger font going forward, as with a narrative in front of it and, a presentation of this plus the expenditures at a monthly or whenever you want me to present quarterly school committee meeting. And then one of the things that we did based on what we talked about in my first meeting around providing more information, detail where possible, transparency, listening and learning to the community, what do they need? So we updated the finance department website, and on there we had said that we were going to put every report that we do at the school committee so that the community can go there and see this and dig in. We also added a button. I think this is going to be fun, that says ask the finance team, so anybody in the community can write in and it goes directly to an inbox in the finance department and we'll answer any questions that the public might have on our financial statements or any questions that they might be bringing up. And if we seem to have a lot of questions where we think we might want to bring that as an agenda item forward because the community seems to be really interested in something, we would respectfully request that we do that during a presentation to the full school committee.
Thank you.
So I have that. I was going to say, so
we are right now on number 5, everyone.
Yeah.
Discussion and implementation of open checkbook
Any more?
dashboard for school committee members and feedback.
Okay.
I know I made a request through open architect, just like the state has. You can go into each state department and look at what the salaries are spending in certain categories, and knowing that we have this dashboard that was created, that any resident or employee can go in and look at where we are.
Yeah, so I know that Open Architects and TJ were going to join us tonight, but he can if we need to by phone. What we tried to do is take a look at this open checkbook, and we wanted to just bring it to your attention tonight as something to think about. And I tried to put in your packet, and the links are live. Once we post it to the website tomorrow, you can just click on the links and they'll go directly. But the 5 examples that were provided were in Springfield, Mass, Chicopee, Mass, East Longmeadow, Northampton, Mass, and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. They all have open checkbook right on their sites. So if the committee would like to go on and take a look at the way the information is provided, because we have the opportunity to design it however we would like for Brockton Public Schools. And so Open Architects can make it happen on a very short timeline, but they really would like your feedback on how you'd like to see it going forward. So.
Thank you. Ms. Oliver.
Not so much a question, but a statement. I think we cannot get more transparent than this. Beside bringing people into your office and watch you all day what you do, I think that's a great idea, and especially the option of residents to click in to ask questions. I think the more they're knowledgeable about it, I think it'll be a more positive outcome, and just asking and being involved with how the funds is being used and allocated to the appropriate areas that we said we're going to use those money. And I definitely do support the open checkbook dashboard. I think it's a great idea. I think it's about time we have a system that way and just get it up and running. I think the resident will be really appreciative of that. Thank you.
Any other Mr. Vega?
Give a shout out to that. We've had this Open Architects dashboard for several months now, and so jumping in every couple times a week and getting to see in real time where we stand on any given thing, and then to be able to immediately reach out to to our CFO, to our superintendent, and get some clarification on things is huge. And the idea that our community will have that same level of access is exciting. There's a high degree of accountability that comes with that, and for folks who aren't familiar with, these links are going to be great to give examples. We're able to drill down all the way to distinguish transportation costs versus curriculum costs versus salary costs. And the idea that Brockton residents will have that ability is exciting. But it's not surprising, because in your interview, you were all about transparency and how can we get there. And so to have somebody in-house now who is delivering on that promise is exciting.
Thank you. We're trying. It's a team effort, and everybody's been incredibly supportive, so I appreciate that.
Any follow-up questions? None? Next item, Finance Department initiatives.
So we talked a little bit about the webpage and the Ask the Finance Team button, which I now probably have 52 emails, I hope, in my email to answer tomorrow. I also want to say that the finance team was asked to put on a professional development for our administrative assistants as part of the professional development day that we had on election day. We had some great feedback. We had a great turnout. Each member of the finance team took a part in delivering a little window into what they do, and at least put a face with a name so that if people in the district were new, they knew who to go to. They have even followed up if they had additional questions or they needed more information. They sent that information out, or they actually drove over and sat with someone and went through and did some training where they could. So I thought that was a really nice opportunity for everybody. And I think we also put that professional development training on the staff-facing website so that people can go back and they know who to ask when they have a question or an issue. And then the last one, I can't talk about it enough because I can't be more excited about this chart of accounts update, because I think it's really even going to enhance the work that we're doing now. So that's our next real big initiative that's coming up, and it all hands on deck. So that's really it right now. I mean, there's more, but bite-sized pieces for the updates.
Mr. Vega.
For folks watching at home, what do you mean by chart of accounts, and why is it exciting that they're being updated?
Well, I'm probably the only person who thinks it's exciting. I don't know. So again, it's providing that detail, right? It's giving us more information around where we're spending money, why we're spending money, how it gives us the ability to project. It gives us the ability to see what our return on investment is. And I think it gives us a better sense of how we can analyze that information. I've always believed that my role is to support the rest of the amazing team that we have here in Brockton Public Schools and the superintendent, and find ways to free up money so we can put it back in back on our children in whatever way. So I think that's, for me, this provides me with that window into what we're doing and how we're doing it so we can do our job.
Any other questions, comments? Next item, number 7, draft calendar FY27 budget development process.
Yeah, so we skipped ahead a little bit when in the packet, but it's there. Again, I think when I bring it the next time, we will have updated with the state dates in there as well. And I would love any feedback from the committee on other organizations or other dates or other sessions that you might want to hold as we move closer, so we can add those in. And because this should be up on our website as well, so people will know when to go or what we're going to be doing if that's what we choose.
Comments, questions by any of the members? Seeing none. Future agenda items.
So this is where I'm open. You guys tell me. Like, I took a shot here, but I'd love to hear from you with what you'd like more of or less of, and you don't have to do it now, but that's really where I left this for. I wrote down all the IT questions that I was listening to, so I have that.
Ms. Azak.
It's not so much a question, just a statement. I do like the direction we're going in. I like the transparency with our community. I like the thoroughness, and like some of my colleagues already mentioned, just breaking this out for the next year. And it gives us an opportunity as members to, if we want to reach out to you and just say, okay, well, we're covering this, let's add this. So thank you for giving us just a template to go by, and I'm sure over the next few months we'll be reaching out and adding things, or because we do get a lot of calls from our constituents. Yeah. And colleagues, whether it's on the city council or school committee, so, or some of our staff, things like that. So I love the transparency as far as making this available, and they're able to reach out to you with any questions. I do like that as well. So no, thank you so much. This is a great start. So we're looking forward to being able to get through the next budget.
Yes.
Any other comments from the members? Just to echo what Ms. Azak, this is phenomenal, like some of the breakouts. When we talk about transparency, so the public knows, like we're not hiding anything. But also, like, with the implementation of this budget calendar, I would love to see, not just us, but like if the public can chime in also, like what would they want to see as well. We might miss something. The more feedback, the better, instead of just trying to fix it beforehand. But there's always room for improvement as well. So, but
For sure.
I'm happy and content with this as well. And this just shows, how much transparency and work under Dr. Tiliani's leadership of fixing a fractured system. So I'm very proud of that. Any follow-up questions? None? Do we have any other business? Any other business? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Motion was made by Mrs. Oliver, probably seconded by Mr. Vega. Show of hands. Unanimous. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you.
Today is Tuesday, November 18, 2025. Time and arrival is 7 p.m. Located at 135 Belmont Street in Brockton. Welcome to this meeting. This agenda will be discussed this evening. Please note that the hearing of visitors is included. If you have any statements or questions, please give your name to the secretary, which I have 4 individuals. And in addition to attending the public can view this meeting via television on Comcast Channel 8, 1071 HD version, and online via this link, www.youtube.com/TheBrocktonChannels. I will call this meeting to order to establish a quorum. Mr. Gomes? Here. Mr. Vega? Here. Ms. Oliver? Here. Ms. Azak? Here. And we do have member Timothy Sullivan on the phone via Tim? Tim is present, myself, Tony Rodriguez, Vice Chair, and our clerk, Dr. Tiliani. If we can all please stand and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 2, hearing of visitors pursuant to the school committee policy, each person requesting to speak shall be allotted a maximum of 3 minutes. Since the period is limited to 15 minutes, a total of 5 people shall be permitted to speak on a first-come, first basis. Our first guest speaker is Stacy McDonald, PASPA President.
Good evening. I'd like to address a comment that was made during the school committee debate regarding our previous contract and the claim that paraprofessionals received a substantial increase, I believe is what was said, implying that we really don't need a livable wage increase, but the few cents that you guys are offering us, we should be happy with. Mr. Gomes, I want to put this into perspective for you, since you were the one who spoke about that. This is why we deserved that increase then, and why we still deserve a livable wage now. In 2021-2022 school year, our starting base pay was $16.90 an hour, well below a livable wage then. To make matters worse, the district thought it was a great idea to create a community ally position at Brockton High at a starting rate of $25 an hour to monitor the hallways. Yet we, the paraprofessionals, were told time and time again, we're valued, we're essential. The pay disparity was a slap in the face to every hardworking paraprofessional sitting in this audience and at home. And it was made very clear just how much our work was truly unvalued. Through tough negotiations, we fought hard and we reached an agreement, one that was still below a livable wage, but nevertheless, we compromised. So when sharing information with the community, please make sure you share the full context of why we received that increase. It was not a gift by any means from the district. It was not a gift. It was a long overdue raise that we deserved. I'd like to close with this. PASPA members are only asking for a livable wage, one that ensures that we don't take home less than what we did last year, right? Because it's not a raise if we're taking home less. During the debate, I heard repeated calls for us to compromise. We need to compromise. The truth is, we have been compromising for years. You know what? No, wait a minute. We have been sacrificing for years. It's time for the district to start compromising. It's the current school committee sitting here who got us into this mess. By not demanding, not investigating, not asking the hard questions, not looking into how the budget was handled, you can't say, well, oh, that was the information that was provided to me. That's a poor excuse. Because any one of us parents, if we gave that excuse to our supervisor, we'd be in their office. So it's time for all of you to realize just how important we are to the students of Brockton and provide us with a livable wage. Thank you.
Mabel Valdez.
I'm just going to speak in my language because in the classroom, the student come to me crying, I don't understand. You don't gonna understand what I'm saying now, because I'm gonna talk to the Brockton public, to the Brockton community. Yo trabajo en la escuela George Mantela como paraprofesional. Somos el día a día para ayudar a los niños en los salones. Los niños no entienden el inglés y vienen donde nosotras y nos preguntan, ¿qué dice la maestra? Es fuerte para ellos. Para nosotros poder con el costo de la vida en Brockton, tenemos que trabajar 2 y 3 trabajos. Yo entro a las 7 de la mañana a trabajar en Extended Day, salgo a las 5:30 de la tarde o a las 6 de la tarde, dependiendo del día. Y muchas veces tengo que salir a la calle a otro tercer trabajo porque el dinero no da. Y ustedes, en vez de subirnos el sueldo, no lo bajaron. Cobrábamos $750 por sustituir, por estar corriendo en la escuela entera, el día entero, que a veces ni el tiempo del almuerzo nos dan, simplemente porque ustedes no lo bajaron de $750 a $500. Para sustituir una maestra que hacemos el trabajo solas, no necesitamos otra persona al lado de nosotras, de 75 nos lo bajan a $50. Y la leche, la comida, la gasolina, el diario vivir, para arriba, para arriba y para arriba. Y el de nosotros, para abajo, para abajo, para abajo. Y nosotras no recibimos eso. Necesitamos un pago digno por nuestro trabajo. Nosotros hacemos reír los niños, nosotros los ayudamos, ellos entienden, ellos se sienten confiables con nosotros. Nosotros deseamos un pago digno para nosotros poder seguir con nuestra profesión, con nuestro trabajo. Cada profesional debe de tener un digno pago. Deseamos y demandamos un buen pago, y si las paraprofesionales no ganamos buen dinero, los niños de Brockton no son felices. Así que nosotros, we deserve a better pay.
Next speaker, Billy DaCosta.
Good evening. I know I've spoken before. Didn't think I'd be back down here, but here I am. You offer us 2%, and then you offer 3%. Is this a joke? Last I checked, jokes were supposed to be funny. They were supposed to make people laugh. I joke around with my students. I joke around with my colleagues. I don't joke about my living finances. I'm not laughing. I don't need to take home $10 million a year, but please, Brockton Public School, you can be so much better at giving us a livable wage. I know you can. I've already spoken about why I need this wage. And that's all for now.
Next speaker, Maria Serrano.
Good evening, boa tarde, bonsoir. I am
Can you put the
Maria
mic up?
Serrano, and I am here tonight to speak directly with my bilingual families watching from home. I am a proud paraprofessional for the last 12 years, and for the last 5 years, I've been the long-term sub, who is often overlooked but essential to the success of our school. We are the ones who sit beside struggling students, who translate for families to ensure that no child, no matter their language or background, has a chance to succeed. We are not assistants in the shadows. We are partners in education. But here's the truth. We are not paid a livable wage. Despite our dedication, our bilingual skills, we are forced to work 2 or 3 jobs just to survive, and I'm one of those people. And when the wages are not fair, turnover rise. Students lose trusted mentors, school lose experienced staff, and communities lose stability. Supporting paraprofessional means more than just saying thank you. It means fighting for fair contracts. It means recognizing their contribution publicly. And most importantly, it means ensuring we earn a wage that allows us to live with dignity and pride. So tonight, I call on all the parents, community, residents to stand shoulder to shoulder with us and support Brockton's finest paraprofessionals. Thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you. Next item, number 3, is the report of the superintendent of schools. Mr. Gomes?
I'd like to make a motion to remove item 9 and have it follow item 3B.
Motion was made to remove item 9, which is executive session, to be presented after item B on the agenda, properly seconded by Mrs. Oliver. We'll do a roll call since we have a member that's remote. Mr. Gomes?
Yes.
Mr. Vega?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan? Yes. Ms. Oliver?
Yes.
Ms. Azak?
Yes.
And myself is a yes, it carries. Report of Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Tian, the floor is yours.
So item A is the teaching and learning report, and we're going to start with our student representative.
It's on now. Sure.
His mic's not working.
It should be on. It's just low.
Want to use the mic?
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Tiliani, Mr. Rodriguez, Mayor Sullivan, school committee members, and distinguished guests. My name is Robert Moores, the Brockton High School student representative, and before I dive into a snapshot of Brockton High School, I would like to thank the school committee for having me and giving the students a voice at the table. Starting off strong, we have our cross-country teams excelling in the last few races. They wrapped up their season with a few big wins, including both the boys and girls victory at the Big 3 Championship. The boys went on to compete at the state meet and even set a run into the regional meet. Seamus Caniff placed second place at states, earning him a spot at the meet of champions, where he finished 10th out of the best runners in the Northeast, and a long list of league all-stars. Around the same time, I'm proud to announce Brockton High School's homecoming was a success. A big thanks to Ms. Tucker, Mr. Brophy, Ms. Rebello, Ms. McCaskill, the ladies in the office, and all the other teachers that made it possible. It was truly an night to remember for all our grades. Students were able to dance, eat, and take pictures. And of course, this night wouldn't have been possible without our school committee meeting. They made sure to stop by and make sure our equipment was running. Thank you for coming out to the event. It was truly great seeing all of you support our community. The Veterans Day concert celebrated our community's veterans in a concert hosted by the Advanced Concert Band and JROTC. During the school day, an audience was able to come into the school and appreciate the momentous day and the people who have served our country. Moving on to some extraordinary opportunities for students, the Brockton High School CTE program hosted a networking event just last week, inviting experts in the business world such as CEOs, founders, and lead executives in their departments. Students were able to get a deeper look into what a business career might entail and some future opportunities. On the topic of future opportunities, BHS hosted a voter registration drive. During each lunch, students were educated and encouraged to register or pre-register to vote. Across the school, students were enlightened on details of the democratic process and their role in society to make a change. This week, we welcomed the senior class onto the football field at Marciona Stadium to take part in the annual Senior Field Day. This is an event where seniors were able to take pictures with friends and continue this tradition to leave their mark on the field with a large 26 taken by the yearbook committee. Over the past few weeks, students from various organizations and clubs have taken part in engaging with the younger students of Brockton Public Schools. In the picture, we see the football team wrap up their time at the Angelo School as they answer questions about high school and the importance of education and athletics, both at the high school level and beyond. It's not only football, though. The Student Ambassadors Club and Student Advisory Committee took trips down to elementary schools to inspire kids with read-alouds, arts and crafts, and Q&As. In fact, the Student Advisory Committee took a trip of more than 30 student athletes down to the Hancock School today, and the kids absolutely loved it. In my classroom, we did arts and crafts, and I have to give my props to kindergarten teachers because after an hour, my voice was already done. Motivating the youth continues as the CTE programs and other extraordinary opportunities our school has to offer took trips down to the elementary and middle schools of Brockton to showcase the opportunity provided at the high school. I heard amazing things, and the younger students absolutely loved it. Credit recovery has been taking place for some time now and currently has 419 enrolled students. This program is for students taking classes to recover credits and others for enrichment. A diverse selection of courses are offered from core classes to CTE classes such as construction and some others such as financial literacy and baking. To conclude my presentation, I want to stress my gratitude and thanks to the teachers and staff of our schools. The countless opportunities would not have been possible without them, and they make our school. Since I have received this position, I've been searching for issues to address in order to make the school a better place, and let me tell you, they make it hard with their work. I had the idea of addressing the former leaking ceilings and found that our janitors have been working very hard to repair the damage, and I've done an outstanding job this far after taking a walk around the school. They allow me to walk into these meetings knowing that I have to shorten my list of highlights so I don't take up too much time. So I want to say that the opportunities provided by Brockton Public Schools, clubs, athletics, and education are unmatched due to the teachers and staff's involvement, and I want to say thank you to the school committee for their continued support of the student and staff. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. Job well done as always. I'll open up the floor to any questions. Mrs. Azek, followed by Mrs. Oliver.
Thank you. It's not really a question. I just wanted to say I really enjoy your presentation. I love how you're highlighting everything from homecoming, which is, this was the first Brockton homecoming I was able to attend, but I learned that years ago, I believe back in the 80s, they used to have homecoming, and then I graduated in the early 90s, and this was the first time. So kudos to Ms. Tucker, there's Mr. McCaskill, there's a whole group of teachers and staff, Ms. Umbriana, that really put a lot, plus our students decorating and stuff. So that was a fun event, and thank you for inviting us. It was 2 days after an election, and we were there. Like, I was only just coming in for a few minutes, and we were there the whole night. So it was so much fun. But I love how you always focus on everything, from just homecoming to JROTC to different things our students are going through. And I'm looking forward to, once our students know where they're going. I love seeing where our seniors that are moving on to college, and then those that are moving on into the working world, I want to know what they're doing. Because college isn't for everybody. I wish it was, but some students, it's just not for them. But I'd love to focus on, highlight those that are going out in the working world or trade. But no, thank you, and I'm looking forward to more reports at our meetings. So thank you as always.
Thank you so much. Ms. Oliver?
At first I was banned from going to homecoming because my daughter was going to be there, and I ended up being the person, the sweater holder for a while. So I did have fun, and it was something that I think even when we were back in high school, we always wanted it, and I always asked why it was never done. And to really appreciate, I know you ran on this, that you would bring the homecoming if you won. So I do, just seeing everybody happy and dancing and being very social was really the enlightenment of the day. And I think there was also some band moms that helped decorate, and they did an incredible job with the balloon work. So kudos to them. Thank you for always being there for our kids and supporting them. Also, I wanted to say I do love the program of the high school students going to middle school. It's a great mentor just to see them and get them prepared to come to Brockton High, and for them not to be afraid that there's a big school waiting for them. And this also makes us retain our students so they don't go to other schools. I do like the fact that Mr. McCaskill has continued that tradition since he's been here, going there and basically having a conversation. And I know this year they did 7th and 8th graders also instead of just 8th graders. And I think it's early, having that conversation about don't be afraid. There's so many opportunities. There's so many different ways you can go to Brockton High. It's not that, a scary place that everybody always thought it is. And I do like for the traditional to continue. But thank you so much, and you guys are doing a great job. I appreciate it.
Any, Mr. Gomes?
Yes, I'll second what Ms. Oliver and Ms. Exec has said. There we go. And a big shout out to everybody who made homecoming possible. I got to go there and show up my moves, you know. We had an amazing time. It was lovely to see everybody, you know, just having a fun time and bonding and being nominated for Queen, you name it. And I know you and I were talking earlier. The other piece that I think is important as well, which I appreciate you highlighting all the great things that are going on, all the good stuff that we're doing, but you're more than welcome to bring ideas and suggestions to this meeting as well. Or if there's something that you're like, I don't know about this, but I would love to see this happen, or we need assistance with this, this is where you get the opportunity to do it, and we can look into it and see how we can accommodate and make it possible. So keep that in mind as you continue to do this amazing work you're doing, but for now, it's phenomenal. Thank you.
Mr. Vega, you, anything? You good? Great job. I like when you said, you know, walking around the school and seeing what needs to be corrected in there. I mean, this is, like Mr. Gomes said, I know I indicated last meeting that you have a seat here. You're the voice. Any other students and that brings that to your attention, or anything that you want to see done, this is the meeting. I know you don't want to sit here all day, but you know, you have your time slot where you can bring all those concerns to us, and hopefully we get that in the next meeting with your update to the school district. Thank you. Anything? No? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item agenda. Before Mr. Sullivan, do you have a question or a comment?
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment.
Go right ahead, Mr. Sullivan. The floor is yours.
I didn't get to go to the homecoming. I wasn't feeling really up to it, but I wanted to congratulate the speaker. He highlighted almost everything at Brockton High School, and he did a great job. Thank you for the report.
Thank you. Floor's all yours, sir.
Thank you. So we'll move on to my report. Robert is going to be a tough act to follow all year long. I guess I'm going to have to step up my game. I also do just want to say about homecoming that I really appreciated the mindfulness about our facilities and having all of the students wear sneakers. That was I very much appreciated that. All right. So BPS celebrated STEM Week in October with a variety of events and activities for students and families. So I'm just going to highlight two. First, the night at the planetarium featured several showings in the BHS planetarium, as well as informational posters for students of all ages and their families to explore. BHS students also got the opportunity to visit the Museum of Science in Boston. While there, 43 students learned about the cosmos, dove into the engineering and science behind the cities of tomorrow, and got a glimpse at the microscopic world of bacteria. That's not all, though. Several students in the Empower Yourself program have been learning about the technology that drives autonomous cars while spending a portion of their Saturdays on campus at MIT. Recently, students from the Ashfield, Plouffe, and BHS, who are part of the Investment Club, had the chance to see a trading floor firsthand during a trip to Bentley University, which has its own real-world trading room that mimics what you might find on Wall Street. Some other highlights from around the district include the first of what will be several school-based vaccination clinics hosted by BPS Health Services and Brockton Board of Health. The first clinic was held at South, offering students a chance to catch up on important childhood vaccines. We recently also had the first of our annual grades 3 and 5 trips to the Fuller Craft Museum, beginning with the Kennedy. Members of the New Bedford Symphony Orchestra also stopped by the Kennedy recently, and these musicians will be making their way to every elementary school in the district this year, sharing a fun and engaging lesson about music and waves. I want to also give a big shout out to the students and staff at the Plouffe who came together on a recent weekend for their annual campus cleanup event called Keep Plouffe Pretty Day.
Last week, the Downey welcomed Olympic bronze medalist and Stoughton native Frederick Richard to school. Mr. Richard invited students to take part in some gymnastics challenges for prizes and also shared the inspirational story of how he learned to embrace his differences on his path to becoming a successful Olympian. Before he left, he read an excerpt from his children's book, Fred Flips, and even left behind a copy for each Raymond classroom to enjoy. Meanwhile, the Raymond welcomed BHS student readers to classes where they read aloud to students. Congratulations to the boys and girls cross-country teams at BHS, which both took home their respective league championships in late October. Both teams secured 25-point wins over their opponents, New Bedford and Durfee, with 8 of the top 10 runners representing Brockton on the boys' side and 5 out of the top 10 for the girls. East Middle School recently sent a Cape Verde-themed soccer jersey to the president of the Cape Verdean Soccer Federation as a show of support from Cape Verdean students in the school community for the Sharks, who will be playing in their first World Cup next year. A big congratulations to the first group of Assistant Principals Award winners at BHS. The Assistant Principal Award recognizes students who are actively working on self-improvement in areas like academics, behavior, and overall personal growth. Each award indicates the pride that each assistant principal has in these students who continue to better themselves while being positive members of the BHS school community. Last week offered several opportunities for our students and staff to recognize and give thanks to our veterans for their service, including the annual Veterans Day ceremony at BHS, where veterans from the community had the chance to come, be recognized, and enjoy a luncheon with members of the Boxer Battalion JROTC. Over at West, students and staff led by Mr. Richard Little collected over $500 in loose change to donate to the organization Disabled Americans Veterans. DAV showed their gratitude by providing West with 2 American flags, as well as a banner recognizing the West community's generosity. Our next item under my report, I'm going to move right on, is item B, which is the assessment and accountability data. And before I invite up our Director of Accountability, I did just want to give an intro into our accountability presentation for today. So at first glance, accountability status reflects whether we met targets. What it might not show immediately is beneath the surface growth that will lead to future improvements in student outcomes. For example, we have 4 schools, George, East, North, and Ashfield, who were invited by DESE to their Celebrating Academic Success Conference because their math and literacy MCAS scores have reached pre-pandemic levels. 6 of our schools designated as requiring assistance or intervention showed substantial progress towards targets. 4 schools increased their accountability percentile, and 1 school is no longer designated as requiring assistance or needing intervention. Finally, in its first year in accountability percentile, Promise is at the 50th percentile. We certainly want to celebrate these pockets of success. However, when we look beneath the surface of the MCAS trends, it does become clear that our improvement efforts must focus on coherence, instructional quality, early literacy, and targeted support. So given what the MCAS data reveals about both our promising trends and our persistent challenges, these 4 focus areas outline the strategic work we are advancing to strengthen outcomes across the district. So first, we are focused on building coherence and capacity across schools and across grade spans. This means ensuring that classrooms from pre-K through grade 12 are moving in the same instructional direction with consistent expectations, tools, and supports. Second, we're committed to ensuring every student has access to high-quality instructional materials and tiered supports, regardless of their school, grade, or program. This is central to strengthening Tier 1 instruction and aligning MTSS structures across the district. Third, we are investing deeply in early literacy, ensuring that our youngest learners build the foundational skills they need to become proficient readers by grade 3. Finally, we are tailoring supports for schools in need of targeted assistance. Not every school has the same needs, and we are differentiating coaching, resources, and monitoring so that each school receives the level of support required to accelerate student outcomes. So these 4 focus areas work together to reinforce instructional quality, close gaps, and build long-term district capacity. And we wanted to share these with you tonight as they are strategic and rooted in the data that you are about to see. We look forward to sharing more details about these areas in the months to come. But at this time, I would like to invite up our Director of Accountability, Ethan Cancel, who will be presenting our MCAS data.
I think so. All right. Good evening, everyone. It's good to see some of you again, and it's nice to meet some of you. MCAS and accountability. Topics I enjoy talking about. I will try to be as brief as possible. Basically, we're going to go over MCAS and accountability. All right. I want to bring up the policy context. I know you all know this, but I just want to bring it up because there are two very big events that went on. In August of 22, the State Board of Education increased the minimum scores for the class of 2026. That meant those students took their most of them took MCAS in 2023 as freshmen, then they took their MCAS in 2024. Okay. Right after they took their MCAS in 2024, in the fall, the ballot initiative passed, and MCAS is no longer a graduation requirement. These are contradictory, these are very big events, and they went on during this time. Here is the entire MCAS presentation. You can fall asleep. If you stay awake for this, you'll know the entire presentation. Here's the big insight. We mirror the state trends. You're going to hear this again and again and again. How did we do? We did a lot like the state. Now, on the flip side of that, the challenge is like the state, our scores are flat. Slightly down, but statistically speaking, flat. So that is going to be the presentation. Hopefully not in excruciating detail, but hopefully in enough detail. Okay. Classic slide here. This is ELA. We're the orange line. The state is the black line. These are the scaled scores. This is what the accountability system uses. The scale goes from 440 to 560. How did we do? How did the state do? Well, the state started at 495 and they ended at 494. That's called flat. How did we do? 483. We ended at 480. You could say, are we a smidge lower than the state? Yes. Pretty much, statistically speaking, that's flat, slightly down. How does the math look? Again, these are all the grades, all the students. Remarkably similar. 495 start for the state, 495 end. How did we do? We started at 480, we ended at 480. Science is green, same story, okay? You see that the state went down a point, you see we went down 2 points. All right. Civics was new, and I brought this up because it's easy for me to do the math. They only had 1 year, so there it is. The state's at 495, we're at 480. But there's a 15-point gap. If you looked back, and I know you all did, if you looked back, the gap between us and the state is stubbornly or persistently at 15%. It really hasn't budged. And the state is struggling with the same issues we're struggling, which is recovering from the pandemic, getting back to the levels we used to be at. We look at grade bands to see, is there anything unusual? Is there anything that jumps out at the different grade bands? So we'll look at elementary, middle, and high. I don't need to go over the actual numbers of these because you can see the charts. I did put a red circle around the high school. Okay, this is not Brockton High, this is high school, all high school. This is ELA. You notice that the reason I circled it was the state went down 5 points. What did Brockton do? We went down 6 points. With rounding, it's the same thing. You're starting to hear again and again. As the state did, we're mirroring it. We will come back to this, but how did we do it math at the different grade bands? You will see just visually, very, very similar. There's really no big difference. There is something to notice about the high school math, though. high school math did not have that big drop that high school ELA. And again, it's not Brockton, I'm talking statewide. So what happened? I don't know, but I can tell you this was the first year that MCAS didn't count, and we saw a big decrease in ELA, but stayed pretty much the same in math. Student growth percentile, it's one of the measures that they use. The scaled scores give you how did you do. Student growth is how much did you improve. The big thing here is the interpretation part. The state average is 50. That is, by definition, 50. Now, this is the state's definition. This is not mine. SGP within 10 points of the state average is considered normal or typical growth. So if you're at a 40, if you're at a 60. The problem that I've always had with SGP in a presentation, it is deeply inherent in people when they see the charts that are coming up to say, oh my goodness, we were at a 53, now we're at a 48. That means we got worse. I'm going to tell you what the state tells us. As long as you're within 10 points, there's a lot of error or a lot of variation in this measure. It's not our measure, it's the state's measure. As long as you're close to that 50 line, you're basically doing what the state is doing. So, once again, how are we doing? Mirroring the state. We're at 48, it is a little bit lower, but according to the state, it's the same. How are we doing in math? 48. Is it a little bit lower than the previous 2 years? 1 or 2 percentile points, but that is what they consider typical growth, what I would call solid. It says, this is where you started. You basically did about what everyone else in the state did in terms of improvement. We look to see if there's a difference at the grade levels, and I put this up because I wanted to show you the slide of high school, because the last time the state went way down, and we went down. But you see the growth is at 51. All of the growth here is well within the 10 points. It's much closer than 10 points of the state average. The high school is slightly above the state average. So what does that say? Given the setting that the kids are in, and I don't mean Brockton High, the setting, the policy context, everything's changing and all that, they had solid growth, typical solid growth. How did math do? Same basic story. There is something to point out. I don't think it's a substantive difference, but it's a threshold difference. If you look over at high school again, the state says between 20 and 39 is low growth. So once you get to 40 to 60, it's typical growth. Well, in 2023 and 2024, and again, when I say high school, I don't mean the Brockton High School, I mean all high schools in Brockton. In 2023-24, we were below that typical growth, and now we're above it. Is there a substantive difference between a 42 and a 38? No, there isn't. Is there a threshold difference? Yes, there is. All right. This is the slide, if I were in the school committee, I would pay most attention to, because you always need to ask, not how did we do compared to the state? How did we do to, compared to Wellesley or some other district in the, far western part of the state? No, how did we do compared to our peers? Districts that look like ours, that are similar size. These are, for the past 20 years, the 9 comparable urbans. And this is how we did. That's Brockton. It's hard to see these numbers, but our average is a 480, and you can even put in the 2 decimal points. But where are we? We're in the middle of the pack. In my time presenting Brockton's data, Brockton has been at the top, Brockton has been at the middle, Brockton has been at the bottom. So we have gotten back to the middle, and you're going to see this is remarkably similar across subjects. Here it is. There's Brockton. Now, I need to point this out. Brockton is extraordinarily close to New Bedford and Springfield. In fact, if you look at it, it says the exact same number. And you'd say, come on, Ethan, Brockton comes before in the alphabet. Well, if you go out many decimal points, they sneak by. there's really no difference. So we're sort of in the upper middle, I'd say, on math, a three-way tie for fourth. Science, you're beginning to see how are we doing compared to the comparable urbans. Right now, we're in the middle. How do we look at SGP? And again, every part of me says, oh my goodness, poor New Bedford at a 44, Lowell at a 51. According to the state, if you're within 10 of 50, you're fine. So how did all the urbans do? We're all roughly in the same. This is for ELA. How did we do? Roughly the same. That's where we are. Have there been years, and I'm going to pause here, have there been years where we have been number one? Absolutely. Are there still schools that have very high SGP? Yes. But this is solid. Here is the math, same story. So, we now go to subgroup analysis. We include the subgroup analysis because we care about all of our students. And you always want to see, is there a group who's doing particularly well, struggling? You just want to see. There's a little cheat sheet in case you don't, I use these numbers all the time and, the data. So NM, not meeting expectations. These are the state's terms. Partially meeting, meeting, and exceeding. I just put this in to cover ourselves, but the bottom line is I didn't report on every single group because some of them don't have enough students to be reported. The state doesn't publish their results. And I blended, there's a blended group, it's called high needs. I said, look, we have the components of high needs, it's redundant. We have more than enough data to look at here, we don't need 3 more. So, what are we looking at here? We have not meeting, the percent not meeting, the percent partially meeting, the percent meeting, the percent exceeding, and the state looks at this M plus E, the meeting and exceeding. And this is the state slide. Rob Curtin, I stole your slide. The little triangle is delta, the change of meeting and exceeding compared to 2024, or the change compared to 2022. What do we see? We do see differences among the groups. I will caution people, when there are small groups, there can be a bit more variation, and some of our groups are small in number. But what do you see? You do see a little bit of difference, but when you look at all of our students, 22% are meeting or exceeding grade level expectations as defined by MCAS and the state. That is the bottom line. There's no other way to say it. That's the way it is. So you can see that our work is cut out for us because in a perfect world, everyone's meeting or exceeding expectations. So that is the story that we have to, keep our focus on. That's ELA. Math tells a somewhat different story. It's very similar in terms of the percentages and meeting and exceeding, but the difference is some of the groups that had done well on the ELA side didn't do as well on the math side compared to the previous year. But if you look at the far right, you do see this steady improvement, and that's something that you want to see. I guess you'd want to see huge improvement, but it's good to see a lot of green. All but one group is in the green. And here's our science. With science, you need to be even more cautious because you only do science in grades 5, 8, and high school. So the groups are smaller. It's very similar to math, but there are some groups that are doing different, and it sort of is what it is. But I would say that as a general statement on the last slide, there isn't a group that sticks out as doing markedly worse. And I think that in of itself is something to pay attention to. All right, the accountability system, I'm going to do this very quickly. Anyone who wants to spend hours and hours with me going over into the weeds of accountability, please give me a call. I've got nothing better to do. I love this stuff. But that's supposed to be a joke. But here we go. There are two sides to this. And since this is a district, my presentation is a district-focused presentation, there is no normative side. That's for schools. What they do is they compare you to everyone else. They take all of your stuff. The state does this, 3 years of data, puts it all together in one number, rank orders, and it's part of the law. That's the way it is. But districts don't have that. Districts only have the criterion reference piece, which schools also get. This is where the state sets targets, and they say, how did you do? We want, this is according to the state, we want you to get back to where you were at 2019. That's the entire focus of the state's accountability system. Now remember, we've got 4 schools that have already accomplished that, and there are many groups in the schools that have accomplished that. But the state is really struggling with that. So that's what the whole system's based on. I don't need to go into excruciating detail about these performance indicators. Just know, and you're going to see it on the slides coming up, there's an achievement part, scaled scores, student growth part, we already went over that, high school completion, and I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to say this probably 3 times, I think. The high school completion is a weird measure because it lags. And this is the time to say, this entire accountability system is a lagging indicator. It's last year's data, last year's kids, last year's teachers. Now, many of them are the same, they've moved up, great. But I'm telling you how kids did last year. It's a lagging indicator. High school completion does one step better. They say, because of, not us, but because of the way the state data is collected, they say, this is how you did for your 4-year graduation rate in 2024. Oh. And for your extended engagement, it's 2023 data. And then for dropout, it's 2024. So that is a real lagging indicator. English learner proficiency, this is, by the way, one of our absolute highlights of performance this year. It's WIDA access, how we did on our targets. The bottom line is crushed it. That is the technical term. And then the highly original additional indicators. Great name. It stands for chronic absenteeism and advanced courses at the high school level. Here's the story, the 2 big things to know about accountability. It's all about recovering to 2019 levels. If you do, you're in path forward. If you're not, you're in the recovery path. One other point that you should all know about, and I know that you know this, but you get these points for meeting your targets. The point I want to make here, and I'm sorry for saying point and point, but the thing that I want to tell you about is you get 3 points for making your target. You do exactly what you're told, you get 3 out of 4. That's 75%. I don't know how many of you would be thrilled if your children scored a 75%, but just accept that is, according to the state, doing exactly what you're supposed to, and you'll see a school that we have that made a huge percentage of their targets. You only get 100% if you exceed. So it's sort of like you get the bonus and then you get the 100. This is our official classification. This is for 2025. It's a 2-year thing. This is, I literally cut and pasted this from the state accountability page. It says we require assistance or intervention, and it flags low graduation rate. Remember, that's 2024 data. And the thing that's interesting about that figure, the cut, and I will check it, it's 66.7%. If you're below that, you get flagged. Where was Brockton in 2024? 65%. So we're automatically flagged, but we made 45% of our targets, which they define as moderate progress, the state. If we had been 5 percentage points higher, we'd have been making substantial progress. So if you ask me, how did we do? On the accountability system, we did all right. Not great, but certainly not badly. This is a very complicated slide. I can spend the rest of the evening on this, but I know you have better things to do. I'm just going to say that you see the, on the far left, you see the different colors. Those are the indicators that we talked about. And then in the middle of the screen, you start to see that you have non-high school, all students, non-high school, lowest performing. Then you have high school, all students, and high school, lowest performing. I'm going to pause here and explain something that outside of Brockton, a lot of people don't know. I don't know why they don't know it, but they don't know it. The state decided, because Massachusetts was leading the achievement of all states, but Massachusetts was leading the achievement gap. So in their infinite wisdom, and I say that respectfully, the state decided to incentivize districts to move the bottom 25%, the lowest performing students, because they know from extensive research that's how schools move. And if you look in Brockton's history at Brockton High School, that's what Brockton High School did. And if you look at the Davis, way, way back in the day, that's what the Davis did. That is what many, many, many districts and schools that do well do. So the state put that in. The lowest performing students count just as much as all students. That's important to remember. And now here's the part that most people don't know. Everyone knows that. This is what a lot of people don't know. The lowest performing students for non-high school, that is a cohort. What that means is, the way they've defined it, you had to have been in Brockton and had scores in 2024. We take a look at all the scores of 2024. The bottom 25% are considered the lowest performing students. We see how those students do in 2025. And that is the result. So, to me, we take all students in Brockton, we teach them, we love them, you show up, that's what we do. But the lowest performing students, that's actually a very, to me, fair indicator or measure for urban districts, because we get kids from all over all the time. This, you have to have been in Brockton 2 years. So how did we do? These numbers are at the bottom. If you look at non-high school, we made 29% of our targets. I'm going to tell you that for non-high school, if you look up to that blue line, we made 2 out of 12 targets for achievement, and unfortunately, that's 60% of the grade. That's a big deal. That's a lot of, it really makes a difference. But we got 5 out of 8 for this lowest performing, and that's not bad. So at the end of the day, we made 62% of our targets for the lowest performing non-high school, and 29% of our targets, and they averaged them together for 46% of the non-high school. Now to go to the high school. And again, when I say the high school level, not Brockton High School, it's all high schools. This one has additional indicators. It has the high school completion, it has all those. And you see that there are zeros there. You see that for all students, for the high school completion, you have 0, 0, and then you have 2 for dropouts. So you could say, oh my goodness, what are they doing? Well, ask, what were they doing in 2024? What were they doing in 2023? What are they doing? The superintendent will, I'm sure, be giving you some indications of what they are doing. These are predictions. These are not official data. Official data only comes in a year behind time. But you can see that I do want to call out the progress towards English language proficiency. 4 is across the board. 4 means you exceeded your target. So props to everyone who is an English learner, props to everyone who's teaching English learners, props to everyone who's supporting it, and all of our students are all of our students. So that was a real bright spot. In terms of, you have the high school, you have the non-high schools, you average them together, you get 38%. We made 38% of our targets. 75 is meeting it. Okay, remember these numbers, and I'll go back for them. This is the state, and I'm almost done. This is how the state did. As I said, we mirror the state. We were at 38%. What's the state? 37%. How did the state do at the elementary level? Not elementary, non-high school, 47%. If you look, though, that's very, very similar to how we did, but if you look, the spread is different. They made fewer of their targets for the lowest performing, but they made more of their targets for the all students. And at the high school level, because, you know, if you go back, you know, you worry about this. You see, oh my goodness, 15%, 26%, averages out, not high. We want to see 80s. We're higher than the state. So how did we do? Pretty much like the state did. All right. The superintendent already talked about this, so I don't have to talk about this, but I do need to tell you that those 4 schools, that's a big deal to be path forward, because the state is really stuck. They don't know how to solve the problem. They're really interested in finding out from schools that are solving the problem how they did it. So I'm sure the superintendent will report when that convening happens later in the year. And the bottom line is we have 9 schools that don't require intervention, 13 schools that do. So there's one thing to know. 2 of those schools don't have enough kids to get accountability status. They're stuck in limbo. They can't get in, they can't get out. But, so that means basically half of our schools are in intervention, half of them are not. As the superintendent alluded to, we have the percentiles from 2, which is not high at all, to 50, which is quite good. And then you have schools, in terms of making their targets, going from 21% to 71%. 75% is meeting all your targets. So if you're making 71% of your targets, that's pretty impressive. The wrap-up. So in case, I see you all were quite awake, but in case any of our audience was not, here it is. How did we do? The MCAS largely mirrors the state. MCAS and accountability are lagging measures. Yes, we know that. And don't forget, graduation and dropout are extra lagging measures. But, and the superintendent foreshadowed this, if I'm right now talking about what happened, well, as a school committee, you want to know what's going on. And so that will be future presentations that my completely able colleagues in the Office of Teaching and Learning, and hopefully I will be able to provide for you. But if you have any questions, that's that, as I said. I love to talk about this stuff, but I try not to go on all night.
Members. Mr. Gomes.
Well, thank you for the presentation. I appreciate how simple and easygoing it was and easy to digest as well. I believe this was, for me personally, extremely informative. And it puts things into perspective, especially to see how are we doing as a district, how our schools are doing, especially when people be hearing, oh, we're underperforming or our schools need intervention, but to look at these numbers and look at how exactly it's been determined that we do need intervention when and to see the difference in decimal points or 1 point away from what the state is doing, or even sometimes being above, but because of how we're getting classified, we're being labeled as needing intervention. I mean, this is encouraging, so to say, not meaning that we're just going to sit back and relax. There's a lot of work to be done, but seeing this and understanding how these classifications, these measurements are being handled does help a lot. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Any other follow-up questions? Ms. Oliver?
Thank
you. I think that was a great way, like piggybacking from Mr. Gomes, just understanding. Also, as a parent, to understand when you get that that report to see where your child stands at. It's good to know, to be educated, to just look at how to also help and guide your child at home to meet those expectations, and just to see how you can work with the educators and see what your role is as a parent to also make sure you are part of this achievement that we want to achieve moving forward. It's not always the responsibility of the educators and also the administrators. It's also the responsibility of the parents to look at those paperwork, and if you have questions, ask the questions and see how you can guide your child and see the resources that they might need. They might need extra tutoring, they might need extra help, but you also have to deal with the test scores and see, if they're low or high, where does your child stand between all other students, and where the gap is, and what are we missing giving to your child. So I think it's a great report, and I hope it does help the parents out there to really educate themselves and ask the questions they need to ask. Thank you.
Mr. Vega.
Yeah, as we hear you talk, the first name, I put this at the top of names. You come across as the Bill Nye of academic data, in that you set up some clear language, some clear vocabulary that's easy to follow, and kind of walk us through this. I find that exciting because it kind of falls in line with an earlier presentation around finances. Is that we're finally hearing this is where we're at, and here's why we're at it, and here's what the state is saying about our status. And so in the same way that we're benefiting from that on the financial side of things, we now stand to make major strides on the academic end, because now we know where we stand in comparison to the rest of the state, and what the state's terms mean. It is mind-blowing to hear 75% means you've met the standard, right? Because like you said, for most of us, 75%, we wouldn't be excited about, but 75% means you meet the standard, and anything beyond that means you've exceeded the standard.
Yep.
Yeah, and so that's exciting to hear. You made mention of those 4 schools that are now flagged by the state as schools they have to investigate and figure out what's the magic sauce there that's leading to their improvements. Do we have a sense yet? Do we have any thoughts as to what it may be in those 4 schools that are catching the attention?
We are looking at that now, but what's actually interesting about that is that DESE has been reaching out to these schools to figure out what it is too. So they've actually been having meetings with our schools and our school leaders. For example, I think they've been meeting with the George to figure out, there was a grant that they used several years ago in order to implement some of the changes that they have now that obviously was very successful. And so I think what's important to note is that I don't know that we've isolated exactly what it is yet, but we are doing that in conjunction with DESE, who also wants to know so that they can learn from our successes.
Well, thank you. And I'll just say this one more time, because I think having somebody who can speak to the very complicated data that we receive from DESE several times a year and break it down, it's going to be the key to improvement. It's going to be the key to engaging our families better, bringing them into the conversation if they have somebody that can translate what we're getting from DESE. This is very exciting. Thank you for sharing the information tonight. Yeah.
Thank you.
Ms. Hazak.
Some of the members, I think it's their first time meeting Dr. Cancel. No jokes tonight?
No.
Usually we have jokes.
Very serious.
But Dr. Cancel is the data guy. Over the years, it's all about data and all about breaking it down for us. So thank you for giving such a thorough presentation for us to review, and then for those that are watching to better understand what's going on and where we are within the district. So thank you, Dr. Cancel.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sullivan, do you have a question or comment?
Just a comment.
The floor is yours.
I just wanted to thank Dr. Cancel. He is the BHS data man. And I'm glad, I didn't get to see the slideshow, but I'm glad to see that Brockton is in the middle of the pack, which Dr. Cancel calls the upper middle class. And According to Dr. Cancel, we did all right, not bad. And I just wanted to thank him. Nice job, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Thank you, Ethan, for that presentation. Next on the agenda, we'll move to item number 9, which is executive session. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to go into executive session as stated in the agenda.
Motion was made by Mrs. Azak, properly seconded by Mr. Gomes. I'll read the executive session into record. School committee will go into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A2, to conduct a grievance hearing pursuant to the collective bargaining agreement between the Brockton School Committee and the Independent Brockton Administrative Assistant and Technical Employees Association, IBAA, TEA. And second item is pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 38, 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigation position of the public body. And so the chair declares, I declare Brockton Education Association, BEA, Brockton Education Support Professionals Association, BESPA, Independent Brockton Administrative Assistant and Technical Employees Association, IBAA/TEA, Teamsters Local Union, number 653, International Brotherhood of Teamsters, Transportation Custodians, and School Police. This will be a roll call since we have a member remotely. Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Gomes?
Yes.
Mr. Vega?
Yes.
Ms. Azak?
Yes.
Ms. Oliver?
Yes.
And myself is a yes. We will be returning back to open session. We're meeting now, but just make sure you guys welcome back. I'll take a motion to enter back into regular session.
Motion to enter into regular session.
Motion was made by Mr. Gomes, properly seconded by Mrs. Oliver. We will take a roll call due to the fact that we have somebody remotely. Mrs. Oliver?
Yes.
Ms. Azak? Yes. Mr. Gomes?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
And myself is a yes. The only member that is not present is Mr. Vega, who had left us after our executive session. And we will resume to item C, which is the MSBA update monthly. I'll hand the floor over to the superintendent.
So the newest development since last time I gave this update is we are in the process of drafting our educational vision. So that is due to the MSBA by November 30th. That is a collaborative process with our OPMs. Supported by our architects, but obviously mostly led by our high school, our principal, our department heads, just about what we want the educational vision to be for the high school moving forward, collecting all of the community feedback that was provided during those community sessions and basically outlining what is it that we see as the educational programming that will be in the building, because obviously that will determine what the structure of the building should look like.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? Mr. Sullivan, do you have a comment or question?
No, not at this time.
Thank you. Ms. Azak?
When is the next meeting scheduled to actually discuss it? I know they've done different meetings, every month and stuff, so just curious.
This Thursday is the next meeting. And
This coming Thursday is the meeting, and then the deadline is the 30th?
Correct.
Okay. In the meetings online or in person?
Online.
The Zoom? Okay.
Zoom. Any follow-ups? None? Item D, Reed's Annual Performance Report FY 2025.
So you have that in your packet, which is the Reed's annual report. So we are part of the Reed's Collaborative. Last year was our first full year. So you received quarterly reports throughout the year. And so this is your first full annual report. And so if there are any questions about our collaboration with, or our participation in the Reed's Collaborative, what I will say is that they provide supports for students that we couldn't necessarily provide, and they also, by being part of the collaborative, we received those supports and even those placements at a lower rate.
Do we have any questions or comments from the members? Mr. Sullivan, do you have a question or comment relative to the Reed's?
Just one question for the superintendent.
Floor
Where
is-
is the Reed's program held? Is that
Is
in Brockton?
No. So if you look in your in the report, it actually lists out all of the different locations. And so, for example, there's the Reed's Academy 9 through 12 at West Bridgewater Middle High School. They have the Deaf and Hard of Hearing program that's in another location. So they have, they're actually in the process of building out a location. So yes. But it is not located in Brockton.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other follow-ups? Seeing none, items to refer to subcommittee. Do anybody have any items to refer to subcommittee at this time? Mrs. Azak?
I wanted to schedule the building naming. So I know I'd like to do something before the end of the year. I know Counselor Azak had reached out to me. They're looking to, I don't want to say it on camera just yet, let her present it, but I know that they wanted to do something for Dr. Applin, so if we can try to get something on the books for at least December, so I'll do my best to coordinate. I know it's, believe me, when it comes time to meetings, and I know the next December meeting that we have is going to be a lengthy one, but I'll see what I can do with Mrs. Campbell, to at least have them come before us and present. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I could piggyback with you, and we need to tee up a facilities, hopefully, with legal counsel to present some updates relative to a special act.
And actually, Vice Chair, maybe we need to officially just have the unveiling of the stage. I saw that the covering is back on the stage. We never really did an official unveiling of the stage for Mr. Macrina and Carol Thomas. So maybe just, plan something maybe after the first of the year. I know that, I just saw that it was covered again, so we really need to do that. That's just been lingering, and we should recognize them both and have the official unveiling with the committee members.
Will do, thank you. Next item number 4 is the consent agenda. What is the will of the committee?
I would like to remove item E from the consent agenda.
Any other members? What is the will of the committee?
Agenda with the exception of item E.
Motion was made by Mr. Gomes, properly seconded by Ms. Oliver, of approving items A, B, C, D, F, G. I will read this into record. A, approval of minutes, bid review subcommittee meeting, October 22nd, 2025. Item B, approval of minutes, regular school committee meeting, October 7th, 2025. Item C, approval of minutes, mental health and well-being subcommittee meeting, August 26, 2025. Item D, acceptance of donation, math and science department K through 2, number rack explorations materials. Item F, acceptance of donation, gifts and space location, Suite S 122, 200 Westgate Drive, Brockton, Mass. Item G is request of authorizations, acceptance proposal of expenditures of funds. Bullet point number 1 is FY26 IDA consolidated grant FC 0240-0262 in the amount of $5,070,495. Bullet point number 2, FY26 target assistance grant FC 022-0325 in the amount of $160,000. Bullet point 3, FY strengthening career and technical education grant FC 0400 $85,110. Bullet point 4 is FY26 option early college planning grant, state TAR in the amount of $75,000. Number 5, FY26 after school and out of school time school year grant in the amount of $32,500. Item 6 is supporting arts and cultural vitality teams grant in the amount of $12,225. And the last item is FY26 interpretive education training grant FC 0199 in the amount of $11,800. And this will be roll call vote. Mrs. Oliver? Yes. Ms. Azak? Yes. Mr. Gomes? Yes. Mr. Sullivan? Yes. And myself is a yes. Item E is pulled out. The floor is all yours, Mrs. Azak.
Thank you so much. So I just wanted to acknowledge Cradles to Crayons' yearly donation of the winter coats. So they went ahead, donated, it's about 1,650 coats. So we said 1,700. This has been a yearly thing. We just want to acknowledge them, thank them. The coats were delivered. I'm going to speak on it towards the end of the meeting, but I just want to acknowledge that. And then also, my apologies, but I'll also mention it, thank you to the new Westgate Mall LLC. That was the next item. We didn't pull it, but they gave us a space to use this year. They, gave us a space to work out of, which has been amazing. So I just wanted to acknowledge that generosity as well, and hopefully this is going to be a wonderful partnership with them. But just item E, so I just wanted to speak on that briefly. So if no one has any questions, I can go ahead and make a motion to add item E from the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion was made by, excuse me, by Mrs. Azak, properly seconded by Ms. Oliver. Did you have a question or comment? Tim, did you have a question or comment?
No, I don't.
All right, motion was made, properly seconded. Roll call vote. Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Gomes?
Yes.
Ms. Azak?
Yes.
Ms. Oliver?
Yes.
Myself is a yes. Item E is accepted. Next on the agenda item is unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business? Mr. Sullivan, do you have any unfinished business?
No, I don't.
Seeing none. Next item is new business. Discussion, potential vote on the policy subcommittee that we had earlier this evening. Policies JQ, student fees and fines and charges. Policy IKFE, competency determination 2026. Policy IKF, graduation requirement 2026. And I would leave, I'll pull up policy DBD, which was just a discussion. There is no vote on that item. What is the will of the committee relative to these items? Do we have any discussions or comments relative to what was presented to us early during the policy subcommittee meeting?
JQ, policy IKFE, and policy IKF, as discussed earlier in the subcommittee meeting.
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. Gomes, properly seconded by Ms. Oliver. This will be a roll call vote. Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Gomes?
Yes.
Ms. Azak?
Yes.
Ms. Oliver?
Yes.
And myself is a yes. Thank you very much for those items. Next is school safety and security with our police liaison for updates relative to the district. Lieutenant Banaka, thank you.
Good evening, Superintendent Giuliani, Mr. Vice Chairman, school committee members, and those here in attendance. First on the list, as a result of past traffic incidents and accidents, there are new stop signs on Warren Ave at both the northbound and southbound lanes at the intersection of Market Street. And the public should be aware of this. That intersection is where the Promise College and Career Academy is located. Again, that's Warren Ave and Market. In addition to the other innumerable traffic duties of the school police, we have a school police officer monitoring the intersection to ensure compliance during morning arrivals and at dismissal. The battery should change it out.
Just give, Joyce, can you just give him your mic?
Thank you. All right, first on the list, as a result of past traffic incidents and accidents, there are new stop signs located on Warren Ave at both the northbound and southbound lanes at the intersection of Market Street. The public should be aware of this. The intersection is where the Promise College and Career Academy is located. In addition to the other traffic duties of the school police, we have a school police officer monitoring the intersection to ensure compliance during morning arrivals and at dismissal. And I've stated ad nauseum that the school police conduct traffic enforcement more than anyone else in the city. In fact, just today, conducting traffic enforcement at Warren and Market Street, school police officer Silva stopped numerous vehicles for failing to stop at the stop signs. And as a result, along with other citations, 3 operators were discovered operating a motor vehicle after suspension. And criminal charges were filed by Officer Silva. So on November 12th, I had a Brockton detective conduct a training with school police on tracking the source of crimes involving the use of communication devices, mostly involving situations such as school threats, with the use of available technology and digital resources. And with that, this morning, the Downey School actually received multiple school threats of violence by phone. Immediately, school police responded to the school to secure areas of access. At the same time, thanks to the training, the source of the call was tracked to a home in Brockton. And school police responded to the home. It was determined that the threat was made by a 12-year-old student at the address. Now, the guardian was present and cooperative. The home was searched by school police, and nothing was found. School police officer Mendez will be taking criminal charges on the student for the threats. And school discipline is also forthcoming. Next week during Thanksgiving break, I have a group from the VA police coming to train the school police using virtual reality training. This computer system provides 360-degree fully interactive realistic simulators, and it prepares us for emergency situations such as active shooter. It provides immersive, high-stress school safety training without the safety risks that you would have with that kind of training for the school officers. And speaking of school safety, Sergeant Livingston has become our resident expert with the metal detectors. He's constantly testing, updating the metal detector systems with the latest hardware software, firmware updates, and battery replacements. Looks like he's got a job when he retires from the BPD. Also positive, the last BHS football game was held this past Saturday at Marciano Stadium, and we had discussions. In terms of safety, as with every previous game during this past season, it was a resounding success, safety-wise. On December 1st, we have our 3 school police hirees entering the Falmouth Police Academy. It's a 6-month academy. It doesn't appear to be any issues with that process, and everything is a go. And just short of a year after field training, we should have those 3 full-time police officers on duty. And in January, Officer Kenesha Cheney will complete her field training and should be on regular duty at the schools. And lastly, we're keeping tabs on the process for the chief to reappoint the school police officers this January, so we don't have a repeat of the last 2 years. So I've turned in completed packets of requested information on each officer. Any requests by the Police Department's Bureau of Professional Standards have been met by our human resources. And the police liaisons will be keeping custody of any new documents and maintaining these files on each officer. So unless I hear differently or encounter a surprise of some sort, I don't anticipate any issues with the chief conducting the reappointments in January. So that concludes my presentation. Any questions?
Thank you, Lieutenant, for your presentation. I'll open up the floor. Mrs. Oliver, followed by Mrs. Azak.
Thank you for being proactive in that issue, and that we don't have basically go to the same issue we had last January, and making sure that officers stay instated and they keep our kids safe. It was great seeing you at the football game and had a really good conversation, but it has been a really, I've been going to a lot of sports game recently at Brockton High, and it does feel really safe. I think the only issue I had, I was asking during the middle school championship why there was like no police there, no school police. Maybe we can figure that out too, because there was a lot of crowd there that night. I know there was enough staff to keep them in control, but just in case we need a backup, one is like middle schools are like playing at the field, also at the stadium. But I think throughout this season, it's definitely felt really safe being as a parent to go watch this sport and also watch the band perform. It's been really safe, and I appreciate everything you guys are doing. I appreciate
Excellent.
it.
I'll
Thank
forward
you.
that to the school police officers.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Azak?
Sorry, actually, Ms. Oliver already touched base, because I had it on my calendar to make sure our school police are ready to go come January. So thank you for following up and taking care of that for us. And then I just always want to say thank you, because I have noticed a lot of our police presence, as always, but at some of the games and things like that. So, you always have our support. Anytime we need anything, you can always reach out. And as for the metal detectors, that's good to know about Sergeant Livingston. But if there's anything that's out there that we could look into, if there's anything as far as security that you see that's out there, you're more than welcome to bring it to the committee if it's something that you feel we need for our district.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Gomes?
I'll just piggyback what my colleagues have said. A huge thank you to all the police officers. And I have to say, it has been very pleasant, very reassuring bumping into you guys at all these events. We were at the football game. And also thank you, Ms. Oliver, for bringing up the middle school championship. It was, even if they're not there constantly, just to have that in the back of their heads, there's a game going on. It was during the evening too, and it's getting dark earlier than usual. But it was still a success. There was a lot of crowds. But just a huge thank you for the work that you guys are doing, for the reassurance that you guys are bringing. And then also I'm happy to hear that we're being proactive as far as the getting sworn in, because it shows that we're really taking things into account and learning from our experience and not letting things reoccurring over and over again. So thank you.
We'll see if we can get some coverage for those other events. And the school police officers, we appreciate the support, as always, from the school committee and the superintendent.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Mr. Sullivan, do you have a question or comment?
I had a question on the metal detectors. Lieutenant Benarca, you still there?
Yep.
Still here.
I was wondering, how many metal detectors do we have?
We have 12 at the high school, 2 at the Champion, which is also the re-engagement now, and 1 at the Promise School.
And when you say update the metal detectors, do you mean like put a modem in, or talking about buying a brand new one?
We're always looking to be in the market for buying more metal detectors, depending on where the needs are, but we certainly are always open to budgeting more funds for the metal detectors. I'm not sure if that answers your question, sir.
Are you all set, Tim?
I didn't get the last part of that. Sorry.
Well, we're always in the market to be purchasing more metal detectors, depending on obviously the budget.
Okay, I got it now. Thank you.
All set.
I have a quick question. Back up.
Salver.
I just wanted to ask a quick question, just what I've been observing lately, because I do live around the Brockton High area, and also my neighborhood with the wonders recently, and I think a lot of it that I've been noticing, even when I go drop my child and I'll go in there in the afternoon, is that I've seen a lot of them like around the restaurants, and you can tell they're high, and you can tell they shouldn't be around like our kids and stuff like that. Have you seen any issues at all? Or do we need to have make sure during certain times that we have police in that area? Because I do see them, walking around, and you can tell like they definitely under the influence that they shouldn't be around our kids.
Well, certainly in terms of school hours, I mean, we certainly maintain a presence at dismissals and obviously at arriving in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak for weekends, but I know that there's been a transition in where the population is located. It's been more so on the west side. I haven't seen too many complaints. If I look at, I'll have to look at the calls more in detail, but I haven't seen any complaints, especially with regards to the kids. We certainly don't want that to start, but right now I haven't seen many complaints with regards to that. But we'll certainly keep an eye on, especially when it comes to interaction with the children to and from school.
Yeah, I have seen a uptake from the City Hall area, and that area definitely it's coming to the Belmont Street. And I really have seen a lot of uptake, and it's been really concerning as a parent just to make sure that we're really proactive and make sure that just make sure that not having an interaction with our kids and it become a fight issue or more than we need at this point.
Well, we're certainly going to keep an eye on it, especially at arrivals and at dismissals. Off hours and, as I said, the weekends, I'm sure the city police will have to keep more of an eye on that. But I know about the transition in the population and the geography, and that is becoming an issue. But right now I haven't had many complaints and not really interaction with kids right now. But I'll have to look at the call volume in detail and get back to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant, for your report. I'm happy to, glad that we were able to get the 3 new, I'll call them cadets until they actually graduate into this fall academy. But that brings us to 15, correct?
That brings us to 15. That is correct.
So we have 1 lingering position. Do you know where we are as far as backgrounds or hiring that that position that we have budgeted for?
The last time I spoke with the chief, which was about a month ago, she stated that she was looking into it. That's the last that I had heard.
Okay, I'll follow up with that because we budgeted that position. We need to actually fill that. That's why we budgeted for it. So, but thank you again. You and your officers do a tremendous amount of work. You guys are real busy, and I'm glad that our school police officers are doing a lot of traffic enforcement. I dropped my son at South. At that new intersection. People are trying to get used to it. I understand it's new. You're not used to seeing something there, and people are driving through. I witnessed it myself. I witnessed the crossing guards there, screaming to stop. But I'm pretty sure that with the enforcement, people will pick up on it. And I think if we can send a correspondence through the district with our notification that this is a stop sign for parents, so they can know, because I did witness a parent with kids in there. They're not used to it. It's new, even though they have those big signs there. So, but thank you very much, Lieutenant. Thank you. And our next item is announcements. Do we have any announcements? Miss Oliver, then Miss Azak.
There's a fundraiser going around for the band moms and students out there. We do have the November calendar. So if you're on the social media and you see some band parents putting the link up, please support the band. It's definitely will help us with events, travel, fees, and uniforms for the next year. But definitely if you see links out there on social media to support the calendar for the band boosters, please go out there and support our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Azak?
So I'm going to just be brief tonight because we will have a presentation in December. So I just wanted to thank a lot of our schools, a lot of the families, a lot of our schools, and especially Cradles to Crayons. I know I sound like a broken record, but they're so generous with Brockton. And so I thank you to Westgate, what's it called, New Westgate LLC. They stepped up. They gave us an amazing spot to use. That gave us enough room to be able to work out of. So usually a lot of the packing of the coats is done during the day. Yes, I have volunteers, but I also work full-time, and I serve on the school committee, and I try to have a little bit of a life. So a lot of the packing is done during the day between my appointments. This year, it's the first time I've ever done this. We had a good amount of our Boxer Outreach members, and I believe we had a couple of the ambassadors, Miss Joyce, Yvette Joyce, and Mr. McCaskill, Miss Umbriana. They got me some volunteers, and then I had Linda Pizzi, my mom, Miss Oliver, Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Gomes all stopped by to check out the space and help us out a little bit. So I'm happy to say that it's the first time in all these years we actually packed at least 1,700, if not more, coats in 2 days. 2 days. We were exhausted, but we packed them in 2 days. And Monday, many of my schools, I know it was short notice, but it was amazing. They were showing up, packing the cars. So we have some fun photos. I'll be working on a presentation with Jordan. And then today, early part of the day, I was there while the schools were picking up the coats. So no matter what we do, we always run out of sizes. So, if anyone can step up and help us out. I know we have someone in the audience smiling. I know the BEA stepped up last year and really helped us out, and they filled a lot of the coat requests we couldn't fill. And then also, if you haven't received your coat yet, I'd say 99.9% of the coats are out. Your school should have them if you requested it online, and we did the best that we could. The sad part is everyone focuses on the younger children. Our high school kids, actually some of the students asked me if we were filling coats for the high school kids. Those are usually the adult sizes. So if anybody really wants to do something special this year, get the adult size coats for the high school. I'm sure if you reach out to the high school and you get them a brand new coat, somebody asked me, what's my why? I'm going to try to do this without getting choked up. My why is I'm in my car in the morning, driving by these bus stops, and I'm getting all choked up, but seeing kids, not having a winter coat, that's what pushes us to do this year after year. So it's just amazing to be able to do this for our families. So if you can, even if you're out shopping the next couple of weeks, grab an extra adult size coat. I'm sure our kids can use it up at the high school. Those are the kids that are mostly forgotten. It's the older kids. And honestly, if you can do that, you're just keeping one extra child warm for the winter. And they will appreciate it, because I did have one principal, I'm going to keep it short, that reached out to me. And they were sending me photos over the last couple of days, and one of them said, 2 kids approached me. They saw the other kids have a coat. I'm like, if I have the sizes, you got them. And he went and picked them up today, because the kids, they wanted to stay warm. So just do, if you can, you're out shopping, grab an extra coat, but reach out to the schools first. But I know our high school, I know we have a need at the high school. And they just need to be new coats. That's the only thing. But we'll do a presentation in December. You'll see some fun photos, see some of our amazing students and some of our volunteers and some of our amazing staff that was more excited to get the coats than I was to get them out to our families. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. And have a great Thanksgiving next week, and we'll see some of you at the parade. But, you know, stay safe and have an amazing, amazing Thanksgiving.
Mr.
Follow that,
Sullivan,
Mr.
do you
Gomes.
have an announcement? Mr. Sullivan, do you have an announcement?
No, sorry, I didn't hear you. No, I don't. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Seeing none. Thank you for mentioning that, Ms. Azak. We have our Thanksgiving recess next week, and also the parade, which is on the 29th, noon time. Hopefully, the community comes out in an abundance to support our annual Christmas parade moving forward. Also, just wanted to acknowledge Dr. Tiliani for her nice presentation as being a speaker at the Mass Conference this past week. The celebrity that she is. It was a great experience with the members that were there in attendance to get some more knowledge and bring it back to the district, and also networking with other community members across the state. So that was a wonderful time.
Shout out to our vice chair for being nominated vice chair of district Division 9.
Division 9.
Urban communities. So that also took place during the mass conference. So
Thank you. That was unexpected. When you asked me, like, why didn't you tell us? I didn't know myself. So thank you for those that were in attendance that supported my nomination. It happened on the floor, which is crazy. And also to the other urban districts that was there. So I'm looking forward to meeting with the chair, Ms. Carter from New Bedford, and advocating for the urban districts, and specifically for Brockton, and advocating at the state level. So it's an honor, it's a privilege. I would say it's a milestone, so I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
well done.
Seeing, do we have any other business? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion was made by Mr. Gomes, properly second by Mrs. Oliver. This is a roll call vote. Mr. Sullivan? Yes. Mr. Gomes?
Yes.
Ms. Azak?
Yes.
Ms. Oliver?
Yes.
And myself is a yes. Meeting adjourned.